Welcome. Hi, you bought Launchpad. You got the results of all of the wonderful prompts that created your marketing plan. And now you're looking at this and thinking, okay, now what? Well, this is what this portion is dedicated to. This companion course is going to be pretty much breaking down each individual component of what you got in Launchpad and telling you how to do this. So, this is for those who hate marketing but know they have to do this. Let's get started. So, my name is Vadim. I have a company called Solo Business, which is dedicated to helping new founders and digital product owners push their product into the marketplace and be successful with it. In other words, get your subscribers. Most SaaS and digital products fail not because of content, not because of functionality, but because nobody actually knows that they exist. And this is a big problem because every single day somebody launches a new product and everyone's vying for that attention. So when do you start market? You start market right now. And you have the answers. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the reality of how to put those answers into practice. But I want to acknowledge one thing first. This is how everyone feels at first. Absolutely everyone who did not have to do this for a living, who did not go to MBA or BBA to get a marketing degree, feels exactly like this GIF. It's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And it's especially annoying because you look at people around you and everyone seems to be kicking butt. It's like, oh, yeah, I got this many clients. Oh, my God, I have subscribers just coming through the wazoo, hundreds of thousands of dollars in MRR. Yeah, that's all BS. Those are the people who have gone through something like what you're going through right now, and they've understood how it works and they took advantage of it. So, this is what we're going to cover today. Number one, we're going to talk about why the heck is everyone harping on this target audience? Why is it so important? And why is it not a one time exercise? You have to define it and you have to perpetually use it. Number two, how do emotions become the shortcut to action, to clicking that button, and why emotions are more important than features of your product? Number three is if you're screaming from the rooftops, make sure you're in the right town. Posting about your product in the wrong place, it's useless. It's like if you have a product that's dedicated at designers and you go to Product Hunt and you think that those upvotes mean anything, they don't. You know why? Because designers are not on Product Hunt, or at least not all of them. Anyway, moving on. Number four is what do you say to make sure that you're heard? You need to understand how we humans buy and what stages do we go through before we hit that button. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about how do you own the conversation. In other words, build your email list. Then we're going to go into once you have the relationship established, once somebody gave you an email, what do you say to them? And when do you say it to them? And finally, we're going to wrap it all up. We're going to talk about ads because it's a very interesting and semi controversial subject. There are people who say never run ads, and there are people who say only run ads. So, what's the truth? We're going to go point by point, and each point is going to cover three things. Why is this point important? How do you apply it? And finally, what should you expect as the result? Ready? Let's jump into it. Target audience. Let me tell you this. I've heard from founders pretty much every single day that they want to be selling to everyone. Their product can cater to everyone. You know what? I stopped correcting them. If you want to believe that, do believe that. But that's not how it works. So you have to know one, what is the problem that you're solving? And the best way to know what problem you're solving is to think about one specific individual that has that problem. Maybe that's you. So if you're solving that problem for yourself, describe yourself. Validate that that's actually a problem. If if there was nobody out there solving this, Would that still be a problem? Would people proactively seek a solution? And if your answer is yes, you're on a right path. And then you need to talk about those people who would benefit from this the most. And specifics matter. You saw in Launchpad that you had a very detailed description of a person or a business depending on who your target audience is. I talked about age, I talked about demographics, I talked about their marital status and whatnot. And the reason that matters is because that is the mindset of your ideal client. And let's talk about age group, for example. Why does that need to be specific? Well, when you're thinking of applying your target audience to your, let's say, posts or blogs or promotional material, you need to have that age group in mind. And a lot of people go with, oh, my age group is anyone between 20 and 40. Well, that's bullshit. And you know why that's bullshit? And I'm not even going to mince my words. It's insane because a 20-year-old is somebody in university, let's say, earning a degree, living with mom and dad, not having any liabilities. There's no mortgage, there's no vehicle, there's no obligations, no kids. And a 40-year-old probably already has a mortgage, probably changed jobs a number of times. So this is a person in a completely different mindset. And so the words you use to talk to them in your content need to be different. I would say that even 20 to 30-year olds, those are two completely different types of people. So let's say you target somebody who's 20 to 25-year old. Okay, great. Whatever words you choose to use, they will probably resonate with them. And that's the same thing with any other. You talk to somebody who's living in a big city, sure. They like getting coffee in the morning. They're used to Amazon delivering their stuff the next day. You talk to somebody who's living in a rural area, well, they're concerned about the weather. I mean, I don't want to be generalizing anything, but having a very specific idea of who your target audience is an absolute must. And the more specific you get, the better. So let's say your ideal target is a business. Okay, is it a big business or a small business? And what is a small business? Is a small business a business of one? Or is a small business a business of 50? Well, a business of 50 is going to have assistants, departments. They're going to have the duties of a president of that business are going to be different from the duties of an associate of that business. And if it's a business of two, president, janitor, IT manager, it's all the same person. So you have to talk to them in that very way. And again, the more specific that you can get with your target audience, and I gave you that specificity, the better you are. So remember that. And it's always easier, trust me, to start selling to somebody, to a small group of people, and then expand, than to talk to the big group of people and, well, hope that somebody in that crowd hears you. The best audience is the one that you can visualize. So if you're solving a problem of your friend, if you're solving your own problem, look in the mirror, describe yourself. At least that mental image is going to help you in all of your promotions. And believe me, if you validated your problem, when you talk about a specific person, imagining them in your mind's eye is going to resonate so much better than if you're just generically talking about the crowd. And this spills over into content, which we're going to talk about in the further lessons. You should always evoke that image. So every message should be anchored to this audience. Every prompt should have this in its context. If you're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever LLM, always put the target audience in its context. It's going to provide you way better content than just if you don't do that. Okay, are we clear on the target audience and why it's so important to always be narrow, focused, and keep this in the back of your mind? Good. Let's move on. Describing somebody with an age group or marital status is one thing, but then knowing how they feel is quite something different. In fact, we as humans, we buy based on emotions. We buy based on hopes, on dreams. We do not buy based on features. Features are important, but we do not buy based on features. Whether you choose to believe it or not, it's true. So, strong emotions are always the reason we buy. And those emotions can be different. You have fears and pains, those are the push. It's kind of like, I don't like this. I want to avoid this. You see this in marketing all the time, like all of the drug companies. Oh, you're going to die, buy our product and you're going to live. That's the kind of stuff. Then there is the more powerful types of emotions, which is the hopes and aspirations. This is the pull selling. This is when people want to be better, when they're striving for something, when they want to achieve something. So if you use that language on your landing page, in your product feature descriptions, this is going to evoke even stronger reactions. So if you understand what your future subscribers, users want to achieve and market to that, you're going to be golden. And in fact, when you know your target audience and when you know how they feel, when you speak to them, it's going to feel to them as if you're a magician, as if you know them, as if you're their friend. And we choose to trust our friends because we believe that our friends have our best intentions in mind. This is why hopes and fears, ambitions, and those goals are so very powerful. So please never forget to take your target audience's feelings and put them into your landing page and your feature descriptions and the emails that you're going to write and the social media posts that you're going to make or YouTube videos. Use them everywhere. It makes you way, way different and unique compared to everyone else who's just using platitudes and just using average responses if they're using, let's say, Chat GPT for content ideas. So, are you clear with emotions? Great. Let's move on. Okay, we talked about who, we talked about how they feel. The question is, okay, but how do you find them? This is where channels comes into play because truth be told, we it's not a surprise and I'm not opening up some magic box and going, "Oh my god, look at this." Everyone's on social media. The question is, what social media channels should you pick in order to reach your target audience the fastest? And that's what you got. So, based on your product definition and based on your target audience, I've provided you different opportunities to seek out your audience. And you want to find out where your best clients hang out through either hashtags for Twitter, or if you want, you can go to Facebook and start searching for those terms to find those groups. There's so many groups. Find groups which have over 1,000 users, those who participate quite actively. If you're going to Reddit, you know I've provided you subreddits where you can find your audience. Or I also provided you YouTube channels because remember, someone is already speaking to your audience. And you can go after those people who own your audience and say, hey, you know what? Let's partner. Maybe this is a piece of content talking about your own product, talking about your SaaS. Say, hey, I developed this amazing thing. Maybe it can help your audience. Maybe they will benefit from this. Cool? Yeah, absolutely cool. Or if you don't want a partnership, or if you don't want to talk to somebody who's your direct competitor, maybe you can complement what they talk about. Let me give you an example. Let's say you developed a SaaS program that helps novice gardeners plant flowers and so that they don't die. Wonderful. So then you can go to a channel that focuses on urban people who are looking for new ways to engage, get excited, or rally around something. And you say, hey, I have a great compliment to your channel because I'm looking at those urbanites and I'm teaching them how to garden. You think that would be a great idea? Of course it would be. It's a very interesting activity. It's very different from them going to a bar. So you can either partner, which is talking to somebody who's in the same niche, or you can complement, talking to somebody who's speaking with your audience, but with it from a different angle. Does that make sense? So those are the channels. Now, I talked about X, and I've provided a little hack. Google or search for XDeck. Now, XDeck is a complementary tool to the X platform where you can provide very specific search terms. exclude, include, size of responses, all of that. And you can create columns by which you will always be able to track the conversation about the subject matter that matters to you. It's amazing because you essentially can pick out of all of the noise on that social platform, you can pick out just the right notes that is important, that are important to you, that can lead to somebody becoming interested in your product, and just respond to them. Oh, and by the way, as you're doing this, as we're talking about these channels and social platforms, make sure your social profiles are good. And what I mean by that is on the banner, well, on the banner, include the name of your SaaS, include the name of your digital product, explain to people what they do, always have a link to it. It's essentially the easiest way to promote it because once your content begins to resonate, then they're going to go out, check out your profile, and then they're going to land on the very page which you want them to convert on. Do that. Make sure that those are ready. Don't just go with fancy or nondescript images. Use that real estate to your advantage. And yeah, you know what? Once you start talking on that platform, and I suggest, strongly suggest, the way to do this is pick one. You want to go with Reddit, pick one subreddit, maybe two subreddits, and just post there, but be consistent for algo's sake, for the ability of people to discover you, because people are not always on the platform. And just go with it, focus on it. Because the more platforms that you go across, the more difficult it is. Because think about this, on X, you have 280 characters and maybe a picture. Great, that's very easy. YouTube, that's a video, that's editing, that's thumbnail, that's descriptions. That's a completely different ballgame. So just focus on one and grow from there. Once you're comfortable there, once you understand what works for your audience there, expand and create content consistently. So consistent presence, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you create something new. You can respond to somebody who's already pulling the conversation on the subject that you're interested, but then you start creating content, and that's what people begin to notice you. So does that make sense? Make sure you follow the guidance as to where your best clients are, not just generically anywhere. You cool? Okay. And then we go to the question of content. So, what do we talk about? Well, look, surprise, even if your target audience, even your target audience is not the same. I know it can be confusing, which is why we're talking about this right now. Look, we are all different. Even if you've defined that a very narrow and very focused target audience, we're still, as human beings, very different because we go through 5 stages of our purchase decision or our research. The first stage is when you're problem unaware. The simplest way to describe it is I don't know that I have a problem. Let's take an example. Let's say I created a customer relationship management CRM SaaS for small businesses. Somebody starts a small business, they don't necessarily think, oh, I need a CRM. No, they're not there yet. They just started. They don't know that they have a problem of managing all of those relationships that they're going to build. So they're not quite there yet. Now the next stage is problem aware. It's when that person have been in business for about a year and they go like, my God, the business cards, the contacts in my email, all of the social platforms. I I don't know how to keep track of it. I don't know how to reach out to all of the people I talk to. Now they have a problem. This is when they're going into problem aware stage. So it's damn it. How do I deal with it? Shit. What do I do? And then the next stage is the third one is solution aware is when let's say they go on YouTube and type how do I contact my clients? And by virtue of typing that in, they get a response. Well, there are many CRM platforms out there that can help you do exactly that. And they go like, oh crap, somebody solved this. Oh my God, look at this. So now they're aware that there is a solution, but they don't necessarily know if that's a what solution should they pick because in every case, there are multiple products. So they begin researching, and that's when they go to stage number four is product aware. They begin to realize, oh, you have Soho, or you have Salesforce, oh, you have, I don't know, name a CRM platform. By the way, it's not Soho, it's Zoho. Um, so they're beginning to choose, and they're considering, oh, look, this has this features, this seems to be this one. And this is a very exciting phase because this is where you have the ability to move them from that spot to spot number five, is when they're your product aware, when in all of their consideration they've suddenly discovered your software, your solution, and they said, man, this speaks directly to me. Why does it speak directly to me? Because it's it addresses my problem. It is better than everything else because it knows me as if we're close friends. How do you know them as if you're close friends? Yeah, because you've defined your target audience. Yeah, because you know their hopes and dreams. That's right. So when you start posting content, what I gave you is focusing specifically on the problem unaware and the problem aware stages. Why? The reason is when you're beginning to post on social media, you don't want to immediately jump into the fray with competing with somebody who's been doing this for 10 years, 20 years, God knows how many years. They have an edge on you. They already establish their angle, how they're producing it. But what you want to be is every single day somebody joins that platform who doesn't know they have a problem, who maybe knows they have a problem but have no approach to solution it. And as soon as they see your content, they go, "Oh my god, this is exactly what I've been looking for." So it's much easier to start building a relationship from there rather than proving to the person who is investigating this that, wow, you know what, I am better than XYZ. So those are the two types of content I gave you, and you can use them for um, blog posts, you can use them for social media posts, you can use them for podcasts, for videos. It all works. In fact, if you're savvy enough, you can repurpose them anywhere you want, and you can generate that content automatically. You can, and I strongly recommend you schedule that content because, well, truth be told, you don't want necessarily, especially when you're building a product, for marketing to rip you away and take you away from what you've been doing and what you're passionate about, which is building your SaaS product, which is building your digital product. That's what you're excited about. So as much automation as you can bring in the process of content creation, content dissemination, do it. It's a well it's time well spent, basically, I'm going to say. And again, when you combine that content with hopes and fears, with the profile that we talked about in the target audience chapter, boom, your content begins to resonate, which means when you say, people are willing to listen. Are they willing to listen? Because they recognize themselves in the problem that you're addressing. Does that make sense? So content is generic until you imbue this with these traits. Good luck, and let's move forward. Great. You've been generating content, you've been getting some traction, maybe you've been growing followers, people are subscribing to your account, everything's going great. Do not rent, own your conversation. And what I mean by that is that your ultimate goal for lead magnet creation should be to convert those who are willing to listen to you on social platforms into email subscribers. Why? Two reasons, two big reasons. Algorithms change, well, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. They change. So what works for you today will not work for you tomorrow. It's true. That's just the way it works. And unless you want to spend days monitoring and looking at engagement, which you should, but not now, if you don't want to do that, then you need to own the conversation. And the only way for you to own a conversation is have a direct link to your clients. And direct link to your clients, future or existing, doesn't matter, is an email. But how do you get an email address nowadays? Well, this is where the concept of lead magnets come into play. If you've never heard this, or if you're fuzzy about this, this is how it works. It's essentially you offer um, value, which means knowledge or a solution or, I don't know, a checklist to something that people find complicated or they want solved. Again, you're going back to those hopes and fears, to what they're actually trying to solve for themselves, and you saying, "Here, I have the answer," and they go, "What? Is this free?" You say, "Yeah, it's free. Just give me your email, and I'll send the response right back." And it can be a PDF document. It can be a mini course. By mini, I mean 15 minutes tops, or it can be blog post. It can be multitude of things. It can even be a one-page checklist that puts a person in the right frame of mind to understand what they need to do. And this is key. So as soon as you start building your email list, your lead magnets, sorry, let's put it this way. Your lead magnets need to be quick to consume, answer a narrow question, and must be easy to understand. Do not confuse your audience. So that's the last three bullet points on this page. But what I wanted to say is, once you start that machine going, you're going to be accumulating email lists. Email lists are gold. And a lot of developers, a lot of founders kind of miss the boat on it completely. Now, why are they gold? First of all, you're going to have people on your email list who want to have this problem solved, and you have a good profile for them. Now, when you get enough of those emails, sure, your goal is to get them to subscribe to your product. But remember, you can continue talking to them beyond their subscription. You can send out weekly notices, newsletters, whatever you want. And eventually, which most creators do, you should be monetizing those newsletters. Because if you have over 1,000 subscribers, hey, I can you feature me on your email list? Maybe they'll click my link. Maybe you see, you become a channel for somebody else. So it's very, very important that you continue this practice of building your email list, even if you got subscribers, because it creates another avenue for you to monetize. And if you have more than one avenue to monetize, which means not only your subscriptions, you have the flexibility to try. You have the flexibility to experiment because you're not anchored to just your subscriptions. In fact, you may find that you can create communities around the solution that is your SaaS product or your digital product. And those communities become paid communities where people just participate because it is you, because they get to speak to people who are in the same mind frame. Anyway, the point is, it all starts with collecting emails, and it opens the door to multiple ways of you monetizing content, relationships, auxiliary products, affiliate marketing, you name it. And all of those need to be taken into account. Okay? Are we good here? Do you understand what lead magnet does? Lead magnet creates an ability for you to ask for somebody's email address. And depending on how you create it, I'll give you down in this lesson, I'll give you a couple of ideas of what to do with this. Ready to move on? Let's go. Uh, People downloaded your lead magnet. Sorry. What happens then? Most of the time, founders who, I mean, maybe they're not friendly with marketing, but most of the time, that's it. For them, it's kind of, yay, I got it. No, that's the worst thing that you can do, because when a person said, I'm interested in what your lead magnet can solve for me, that's just the beginning of the relationship. It's like a subscription to your product. That's just the beginning of the relationship. So explore where that relationship can go. And relationship is more important than that transaction, because it gives you the opportunity to start talking, understand people, ask them questions. For heaven's sake, ask them questions about your product, get some feedback. So you need to start up with a follow up email sequence. And the benefits are you get a chance to introduce yourself. You become more than just a page that they saw online. Frame your solution. Why is your product so great? And then you can offer them the ability to subscribe, which is fantastic. And that is the way of converting people from interested to subscribers. That's the way you do it. So you have in the Launchpad, you have a three email sequence that you can just copy and paste. I would strongly recommend add your own flavor, add your own voice, maybe your specific examples, and then you send it. So when somebody signs up for your lead magnet, deliver the lead magnet and then go one, two, three, your emails that follow that lead magnet, day one, day two, day three. Now you can expand it. You can create 5 emails. You can do whatever you want, but make sure you establish that relationship because you have already been able to get a person to become interested. Don't let them lose that interest. There's so many things that are happening every day. So keep doing this. And always in those emails, your last email or second to last email, you need to have a call to action, what's known as CTA. You need to tell them, I got this amazing product. Would you want to care? Would you care to check it out? Go push. People need pushing. Believe me, it's not offensive. Those who don't want it will never click, and that's fine. But those who might not understand or realize that you have something amazing, they will discover this for themselves. Don't forget that. And I've included that in email number 3 as a mandatory at the end of the CTA. Now, when you write those emails, if you just use them as they are, make sure that you write in such a way that you're writing to one person. Write in such a way that you would be writing to your sibling, your buddy, anyone. But think about this. Don't use we and for them. No, BS. Just say, hey, what do you feel? Hey, what problems do you have? All of that stuff. Okay? Does that make sense? And because it's then easier to talk about their specific problems, this one person's problems. And always remember, when you're trying to be pushy, when you're trying to get people, oh, sorry, pushy is the wrong word, when you're trying to sell your subscription, remember how you feel. Remember how you felt when you were considering buying this course. It's like, I don't know, is this going to be good enough? Remember, you will not always have people convinced. They will not know the amazing product that you've built. They will always be hesitant. So take that into account. Be gentle, be persuasive, and make sure you always talk about the benefit to them. Not how wonderful your product is, but the benefit of that product to them. We're good with the email sequence? You understand how to use it and why it's important? Okay, let's move on. And now we get to the fun and controversial part of the implementation of this marketing plan. You already have established a very good perspective as to who you're going to be talking to, why you're going to be talking to them. In other words, what kind of mindset they're in. You know the type of content that is going to resonate with them. You've picked the platforms where you're going to be looking after that audience. You've already gave them an opportunity to reach out to you by offering them a lead magnet, and some of them even downloaded it, and you've begun the relationship with the email sequence. If you've done all of that, you are probably better than 80 to 90% of founders out there. That's true. It might seem simple. Well, it really is not, but you are better off than 80% of the founders. Now, the way to win is stay consistent and see what works. But then let's talk about paid ads. So, paid ads, search ads, or ads on platforms like Facebook or Instagram, for example, or even on Reddit. Actually, who are we kidding? Every single social platform has their ad program. They are great for immediate influx of volume. You run an ad, and there are bound to be people who are going to be clicking on it and landing on your landing page. What I suggest personally is Know why you're running the ad. And let's just jump into that because, first and foremost, if anyone says, oh, you should do outbound marketing, this is it. Outbound marketing is when you talk at people and saying, hey, hey, come here. Inbound marketing is everything that you're doing with content, is when you're publishing ideas, you're publishing thoughts, you're solving people's problems, and they want to come to you. They're inbound. Outbound is attracting them through very specific advertising. The when you want to run ads is when you know what kind of return on investment you expect to get. If you're not sure about your return on investment, then you can be blowing through hundreds, thousands of dollars with nothing to show for it. And speaking from experience, that is not fun. So, when do you run ads? One is when you want to test product market fit. It's too slow to wait for people to subscribe, for wait for people to engage, to understand if what you're doing actually makes sense. It is way easier to pay Bing or Google. I prefer Bing really because it's just Google's become atrocious in the cost per click, but to each their own. So let's say you pay Google and you get 200 people on your landing page, 300 people on your landing page, and you'll know how many of them clicked the buy now button or got on your waiting list. And as soon as you do, that gives you an indication how good your offer is, how well your product is targeting their needs. Because if all of those people come to your landing page and none of them click, we have a problem. You have a problem and you need to fix it before you spend all of this time polishing your code, thinking about a dark theme for your app. Trust me, dark theme will not make or break your app if there is no product market fit. Then this next reason to run ads is validate your landing page conversions, which is kind of similar, but this is when you sort of establish that, yeah, this is the product that people want. And now you just want to understand, does your landing page convey the value correctly? Can you get people, can you convince people to click that button? And this is where you can run A B tests. One copy, the other copy, maybe more longer, shorter, different colors. And then it'll give you an appreciation for what converts better and use that to your advantage. Number three is when you need to get feedback. This can be very early in the game. This can be late in the game. You need eyeballs on your product because you want to ask those people to give you feedback. Maybe you're running an ad to a free version of your product, which is then, well, you're going to give people the free version in exchange for them giving you feedback. This can get you social proof that you can use on your landing page. It Well, it can serve for many purposes, but that's essentially, it's a very good spend. You are paying for something that's going to help you sell in the future. And all of this aside, and I just want to talk about the acronyms in that last bullet point. So, knowing your LTV, lifetime value of your client, versus the ACA, or sometimes called CAC, it's average cost of acquisition, or if it's CAC, it's what is it? Cost, client acquisition cost. Sorry, client acquisition cost always needs to be lower than the LTV. In other words, what you spend on the ads must be lower than the overall value that you're going to get from a client from sticking with you for, I don't know, a period of time. And that period can be different. If it's not, then you're just spending your money unwisely. Okay? And don't get hooked. And what I mean by that is it's because of the immediate response that you get on ads, because of the immediate nature of running ads and seeing that volume land on your page, some people get excited. I got excited. And you think to yourself, oh my God, I'm going to do more of this because blah, blah, blah. But be careful. As long as your LTV is higher than ACA, so the money that you get from clients is more than the cost of getting those clients, you're good. And if it's not, you have to be very prudent with running ads. So there you go. There you have it. That concludes the 7 different steps that are in front of you, which are custom made for specifically your product. And all that's left is for you to actually implement them. So, this is one last step. Um, First and foremost, I would really appreciate your feedback, and I've included a feedback form in a couple of lessons, but this one I do have a call to action. It would help me greatly to know what worked for you. Was this clear? Did this help? Was Did this provide benefit? Did this raise questions that you want to reach out to me for? Do you understand how to use the information that was provided to you? It would be great if you could do that. So don't forget, implement what you know will work for your business. If for no other reason, is just because that's an excellent place to start. I will be providing you a calendar that can guide you through a day by day cadence of what you should be doing from a marketing perspective. And that nicely ties in into the all of the steps that you got in the launchpad plan. Um, you should be marketing first and building later. I know it's not what you want to hear. I get it. I get it. The excitement of building something is through the roof. But remember, even the best, most polished, most detailed product is going to fail if no one knows that it exists. So start with marketing. And by the way, the calendar that I'm going to provide you, it assumes that maybe this is not your solo gig. This is not the only thing that you're working on. Like maybe you're doing this as a side business. So it takes that into account. You can do it faster, you can do it slower. And one last thought I'm going to leave you with is don't be afraid to pivot. Not everything is going to work out the first time, but putting these steps into action is going to make you way better prepared for that next product, for that next feature, for that next release. And you are going to be becoming more and more comfortable with yourself and with what you're doing. Like I said, you probably are already much better equipped to have your SaaS or digital product reach the right client than 80 to 90% of other founders. So, congratulations, and I really appreciate you going through this with me. You know how to reach me. You can reach me at solobusiness.ca, or you find my contacts at solobusiness.ca. Okay, good luck. I really, really hope that everything works out for you and you make a heck of a lot of money and a heck of a lot of new connections and you help a heck of a lot of people. Cheers.